Country music has been a lens to the fight of women's rights in America. Historically, country music was a man's domain and women were not recognized as performers. Over time, as women's rights progressed, so did the role of female country artists. Not only was their presence in the music industry fundamental, but the meaning behind their songs was important and considered controversial at the time as well. Here, the artists Kitty Wells, Patsy Cline, and Loretta Lynn will be examined to explore how women used country music as a way to support women's rights and pave a way for future female artists as well. One example of how women were testing boundaries and standing up for themselves can be seen in Kitty Wells' 1952 song, It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels. Kitty made this song after Hank Thompson's song Wild Side of Life. Hank's song talks about how the woman he loved left him and went back to her wild ways of drinking liquor and loving anyone. Kitty defends the woman when Hank says she would never make a wife by saying it's usually the men's fault and women should not be left with all the blame in troubled relationships. This was very controversial in the 1950s because women were socially expected to be perfectly obedient wives who never spoke out against their husbands. The main reason for this was because men were the only ones who were educated and maintained jobs to support their families. Many women could not disagree with their husbands in fear of getting divorced and unable to support themselves. Another key female artist was Patsy Cline, who became popular in the early 1960s. She was one of the first women to cross over to the pop charts, doing so with this song, Walking After Midnight. She also proved that women in country music could sell records and tickets to their own shows as well as men. This was inspirational to many women because it was an example of how some women were stepping out of their barriers and supporting themselves without a man's help. Loretta Lynn is another popular country artist who focused on women's issues involving unfaithful husbands and birth control. Her 1975 song, The Pill, discusses her newly found freedom now that she isn't having another baby each year. This song came out during the second wave of feminism, which broadened the debate between women having a more dominant role in society besides only being a housewife and mother, as well as other reproductive rights. These three artists helped pave the way for female country stars today because they entered the entertainment field and became successful when women had very constrictive rights and were not expected to succeed. Artists such as Carrie Underwood and Taylor Swift would not be as successful today had not women prior to them broken down the barriers between men and women in the entertainment business.